I've already started off with myself on mute. Already started with the mute button on. Good evening. How are we all doing? I hope you're all well. I'm joined by our good friend, Stephen Jones. Hello,
Hi,
Stephen.
everyone.
How you doing, mate?
Not bad, mate. Kind of excited to see all these numbers coming up. It's brilliant. Thank you very much.
Good. We have 400 people joining us this evening for a rare live stream on the main channel. I'm seeing lots of regular names in the chat because I do a lot of streaming on the second channel. I say a lot, once a month. So I'm seeing lots of regulars. Good to see you all. I promise not to play with the helium voice changer too much, as we do on the second channel. This is the main channel. We've got to keep it serious here tonight. And I'm seeing lots of names that I haven't seen before, who I am guessing are followers of you, Stephen, because you have your Patreon page. You've got a lot of people that follow the work that you do. And
I've seen a few on there, I must admit. It's great to see them all joining in.
Yeah. And we've also got our good friend Velociraptor in the voice chat. Hello, Dave. Is he there?
Hello, Neil.
There he is. He's on push to talk. There was a definite clunk there as he talked. Dave will be fielding your questions today because it's a great opportunity to have a chat with Stephen, and also for him to hit that big red button to make the Kickstarter go live. That's going to be happening tonight, so you can actually start to buy these new cases. But we have had him on the channel before we even had a prototype of this new product. We had a good chat about it, and we're going to see. Well, you can see if I change the scene here. Which scene do we need? We need Stephen. There he is. You can see that he's now got physical prototypes of his new cases, the Checkmate 1500 Plus Mini. That's right, isn't it? That's what it's called.
Oh, 1500 Mini. Forget the plus.
Yeah. Forget the plus. Okay, Checkmate 1500 Mini. So instead of scripting tons and tons of questions, I thought it would be a better idea to give you guys in the chat a good opportunity to ask your questions to see if this is something you want, if it suits your needs. We'll talk about applications of it today. There's some incredible new hardware that has grown out of the success of what Stephen does, and we're going to look at some of that hardware today. Really exciting hardware. And before we get started, in the chat, just let me know if the levels are too high, too low. Is the music too noisy? Is it too low? Are our voices too loud? And if we get the thumbs up from you, we will get stuck in. Good to see you, Ash.
Also, forgive me, I'm looking at the screen here just to make sure that I'm next as well.
Sounds good, says Mark. Okay, if it sounds good to you, we will. Let's just start with Kickstarter experiences then, Stephen, and I'm going to put you up on the screen because your last case, the big case, which I've got behind me, and we'll talk a bit more about what I did with mine later. It was your first ever Kickstarter. I've just a week ago finished fulfilling my first ever Kickstarter, which was this book. So I reckon we've probably got some war stories between us. Let's talk about the good to begin with. I mean, you had 490 backers on your original Kickstarter, didn't you?
Yeah, the good was, well, I had an interesting start because the first couple of days it shot up to about half what I needed. Mm-hmm. Watching it, and then thought, wow, this is going to be all over in a week. And then it leveled off for about 2.5 weeks. And then we kind of panicked. And then but the last few days it just took off again and shot off up the end, and people were ordering. Look, 25% of people ordered 2 people ordered 10, half a dozen ordered 5. Got a bit silly in the end.
Yeah.
It was a fantastic experience.
I think that's a common story, to have the peak and then the plateau and then the peak again. And actually when I did it in my first Kickstarter, if I did it again, I'd actually compress that line. I'd actually choose fewer days for the duration of the Kickstarter, I think. There's so much dead space in the middle.
I did consider that but I wanted it also to end in the new year. So I wanted to start, before people really settled into the whole Christmas thing, and then end in the new year. Hopefully people haven't spent all their money, but probably most people stick it on their credit card, I guess. That's what I always did. So that was the plan. So it was actually 31 or 32 days. So it was a couple of days longer than the last one. But it's a good idea.
And you treated us to a dance, I seem to remember, as part of that campaign. Will we be seeing another dance if you hit the target?
I have actually invited the girls over again, so it was Sue that came up, and Caroline isn't such a big fan of being in the being on the camera, but Sue didn't mind.
Yeah.
So yeah, no, I'm hoping we can repeat the same thing, and if it happens, then we'll maybe do another little dance.
Another little dance, good. That's all I'm backing it for, really, the dancing.
The crying bit at the end.
And the fulfillment stage, these are not small things to ship, especially when someone wants 5 of them. Did you hit any surprises? Had you thought everything through first, or did you come unstuck at any point?
The only thing I really came unstuck with is the reason we was late. Was that I went for a certain texture, and it worked brilliantly on the white cases, but when the black came, it looked terrible. So we ended up having a double coating, we like to call it, being posh, but actually they were double sprayed with a special coating to give them a matte, perfect finish. And so that's why the black parts were delayed. But actually, I really like it, and it's exactly how I wanted it to be. So we're going to reproduce that with the next batch as well. Because it's more expensive, but it looks great. Yeah,
I got one of each. I think I like them equally for different reasons. The beige one for that more traditional Amiga look, the black one for the crazy project that I've done with mine, which is not so crazy when we see what you've put in yours. But so there they are behind you. Until now on our channel, we've only seen the renders by Paul Kitchen. They look great. They look fantastic there. We have got some pictures to look at on the screen, so people can get a better look at a close up. So let's head over to the laptop.
Yeah, they do look really. I have to say, as much as I love the plus case, which I obviously do, these are just a lovely size.
Yeah.
That's what I really like. They're slightly narrower than 3000, slightly shorter. And I know it sounds like it's just sales talk, but I actually really do like the size of them. And everyone really likes the physical size of it.
Yeah. And in chat as well, just feel free to interject at any point in the live chat there, in the text chat. Probably best if you start your line with just question. Start with the word question, and then whatever question you want to put to Stephen. Dave will pick up on them. If it's something we're chatting about, if it's relevant, we'll ask it now. If not, there will be an open Q&A at the end. So feel free to ask your questions. Let's see what we've got here then on the laptop. Now, this is the Kickstarter page, which is not yet live. It's going to go live 10-15 minutes. We're going to hit that button. But what Stephen has sent me is a whole load of pictures. Can you see what I'm showing on the screen at the moment, Stephen?
I can see that, yeah. So it means I'm looking away from the camera, so forgive me, everyone.
Okay. So where should we start? I've got these exploded images that you sent me. So are these some more of Paul Kitchen's renders?
No, these are, if it's the grey ones.
Yeah.
Yeah, they're the ones that. So basically, I did these to show what you get in the basic case, and there's a deluxe version. So I've done a basic one because I was asked by a lot of people they don't want all the fancy packaging and everything, they want the basic case.
Yeah.
So I've done a basic version and a deluxe version. And that's a picture of what you get in the basic case. Because people ask me all the time, do you get all the bits? And a lot of people order extra bits thinking they don't get everything. So,
right, so they get 2 of everything, yeah.
Yeah.
So is it fair to assume, this being a smaller case and you having refined your processes, that this is going to be slightly cheaper than the original larger case?
Unfortunately, no, because I've had to go back register. Well, technically, it's cheaper, yeah.
Right.
It's the same price as it was before, but I'm now VAT registered, sadly.
So that's 20% on top of everything.
Now, technically, it's 10%. So it's actually, I've kept the price the same, so I'm making 10% less, if that makes any sense.
Sure. Let's see what else you've sent over to us.
So that's got. There is a stretch goal that if I can reach it, then we add 2 more of those little panels, the DVD one and the 3.5-inch drive one. We'll throw them in.
Right. Now, a really nice surprise when I got the original case was the packaging. That was an extra that you decided to come up with towards the end of the campaign. And you've taken it up a level again. Just here it is, the new one. I think you've got some graphic design assistants this time, haven't you? Or a little bit more.
Yeah, Sam's helped me with this. And he's a graphic designer by trade. He's absolutely brilliant. So I basically part-time employed him to come along and do this and the manual, and he actually did the video as well. So we wanted to keep a little bit similar to the way it was before, but a whole load of new stuff. And so he's responsible for the whole video, and so I'm really pleased with that.
We've got a few more pictures here. As we open it up, we can see. A little bit of something peeking out there that looks like a keyboard, but we'll talk about that a bit later. Lovely, all recyclable packaging, and that lovely message on the front there. In memory of Jay Miner, thank you for the Amiga. A personal hero of yours?
Oh God! Well, the thing is, I always tell people I'm a hardware guy. I know I write software for a living, but I am really a hardware. I love hardware. And so who else, if you're mad about Amiga, who else would be your hero but Jay Miner? And sadly, I never got to meet him. But no, I think he's what he created. Now, he's not the only one involved. There was lots of other people. We showed a picture in the video, and we credit them. But he's even to the point of putting his house up on the market, remortgaging his house to make it survive when they ran out of money. No, he's just the business.
Yeah, I think we've got some more of the box close up there.
His name as well, the plastic, as well as Dave Haney as well.
Yes. So it's all looking nice, all coming together nicely. Any problems in getting to this stage? Has it been pretty smooth sailing?
I have to say, no, actually, all the hard work was on the first case, because with this case, I'm going to simplify it by saying it's a shrunken version. It is literally just shrunken and modifying the designs and then going through the designs. The basics were there. So we have done some testing and found we've got a few holes in the wrong place for prototypes and that kind of thing. And but I've had some, you can see I've had the 3D printed, and we're using the old these inserts and the button. They're all reused for the lower. So we only need to mold one bit, which is the main panel.
Let's bring the camera back on to you, Stephen. There we go. So that gives us an idea of the packaging, and I notice on some of the images here you've got, on the beige one, you've got these lovely little gold stands, little feet. Is that something you've added, or is that standard?
Yeah, the gold feet, I'm like, in an ideal world, I'd have them as a stretch goal. The problem I've got is we had a whole load of samples of these, and these ones are lovely brass feet. They're really good quality, but some of them turned up with rubbish. Yeah. So, and I'm having I am actually having trouble finding the supplier to get this resolved. Now, I don't think we can do a stretch goal because they're quite expensive, and I don't want to put cheap rubbish on. So it may be an option. However, if the people come back to me, I've spent a week trying to get answers.
Even if you don't supply them, will you leave the hole there so that people could add them if they want? Because I'm just looking. Yeah.
The fit them is in there, so they cost £12. If you order them on Amazon or eBay, they're £12 per set, and the holes are there ready to go in. I would just like to be able to, if I can, put them in, but I don't think we're going to be able to do that.
Yeah, I see Mad Skateman in the chat describes them as CDTV feet. They're really feet that are very traditional with Stack Hi-Fi systems. I'm looking at a Cambridge Audio amp just across the room from me, and it's got those, not gold ones, but it's got black versions of those feet. It's just nice, kind of period accurate.
Because they got rubber bases which deadens the noise, and if you're playing, it doesn't vibrate. You don't hear it on desk.
Yes.
Their sound, and it's just the fact that I like the gold. I mean, they do silver and black, and I just thought gold looks fantastic.
Yeah. Dave, how
you can get them easily.
Yeah, Dave, how are we looking for questions in chat? Have you got any that you'd like to?
Yeah, we've got loads of questions.
Fire away to Steve.
Okay then. Someone's asked, Ninja Cyborgs asked if you can publish the exact external dimensions for it.
It's on the Kickstarter page.
Which isn't yet live, but it will be soon, so you can find it when it goes live.
It goes on the Kickstarter page, yeah.
Wiretap 25 wants to know if the CD-ROM insert is going to match the colour of the rest of the fascia. He felt the colour was a little bit off. Is that because of the type?
Absolutely, because it also says in the Kickstarter that these actual front panels are 3D printed and they've been hand sprayed, but they've got the colour slightly wrong. So they will, but remember these are the exact colour of what that is going to look like. So they will match, obviously. Same thing here. The texture will be the same. It's slightly because that's the finished part, and this is just a prototype. In fact, it's a step up. Do you remember that really rough one I had bought in that time?
Yeah. So those are 3D printed prototypes, and the final versions will have proper molds, properly manufactured, just like the first case. Yeah, it's a good point though, because I did notice also in that lovely video that we had at the intro, the CD-ROM tray does cover just looks a slightly different shade. Yeah.
It's a great colour. This is wrong. That's just, I think, because when they sprayed it on a different material, that was all, and that's why it looks different.
Yeah. Dave, any more questions?
Lots more, Neil. Lots more. Electron Ash asks if there's any plans for a mini DTX version which has space for 2 card slots.
Mini
DTX.
No plans. I mean, this is mini ITX completely, and there's only one. There's one card slot which can take only half height cards. I'm not doing the multiple rear panels like I did last time. This is one of the reasons why we're doing these extra boards that we're doing. If you put in a PC, and I'm working on the basis everyone's going to put something like a 3400G APU in it and to run as a PC, but the card bay is in there for a half height card. No big ones, because you just won't get it in there. There's no room.
Any questions regarding the application, what can go in there? We're going to come on to that next. But anything with regards to the aesthetics or anything like that? Any more questions there, Dave?
Thraka wants to know what you're drinking.
Oh yeah, okay. Abbott Reserve. I like ales.
Nice.
I tend to drink ales. I restrict myself to like one every other night. So my wife doesn't drink, so I end up sitting here like really no mates.
David Wright wants to know, he's starting to learn Fusion 360. What do you use for designing?
Oh, good question.
Fusion 360. I can give you a funny story though, if you want to hear a funny story about that. I did the original Plus design in SketchUp, and I did everything in SketchUp. I got to the end of it. When it came to going to the manufacturer, I handed over the file. They went, "We can't use that because it's a 3D rendering tool. It's not an object modeling tool. It's completely different thing." So I had to redesign the entire thing from scratch in Fusion 360.
Because all they want is the pure data, the coordinates.
Yeah, it's a completely different way of modeling. I output as step files as well, which reminds me that like I did with the last one, if anyone asks, I prefer it to be customers usually. If anyone asks me for the designs, I'm quite happy. Once the Kickstarter's over, I hand over the step files, and you can, if you want to design something to go in it, then you can get the step files.
Yeah.
As I said before, the joke before was, if you're a Chinese manufacturer, give us a call first. I never wears thin.
Let's have a couple more questions, Dave, if there are a couple more before we move on. And I'll give you the special voice for the next one. Carry on.
Someone asked where my trousers are. Someone else asked, is there going to be a spot like there is in a full-size one for a USB front? Actually, 2 people have asked that one.
So is there going to be a spot for USB boards?
Yeah, okay. This one's up. Well, okay. There's nothing going on the front because with this one I want to keep the front up completely clean. I had discussed with Neil about potentially putting a like on the 3000, putting an opening down the side so that you can put a panel in there if you want to. Haven't 100% decided on that yet. So if I get lots of emails from people saying they want that down the side, then I can do that. The other thing, of course, is you could make your own one and make your own front panel. Put what you like in that and just 3D print it.
Look, Stephen, I'm going to come to your office. Let me change the camera here. I'm going to come to the office. I'll do this completely free for you. And I'll drill 3 holes in the front of every case for you and give you multicolored buttons. Because I know how much you love them.
Actually, no. You know what? For me was I just didn't like the colour of the buttons. If they'd been black, that would be really cool. Actually, no. Rightly, I moaned about the joysticks, didn't I? The joystick ports.
The joystick ports you didn't like, yeah. One more question then, Dave, before we move on. What have we got?
Just a question from me then. How, when you've looked at what people have done with the first ones, is there anything you've thought you're amazed by or you're surprised by?
Oh God, I'm getting emotional now. I really like the fact that people have taken to this product, and the amount of love that's been put on it. I mean, I get so many emails from people. They go on my Facebook group, they put the pictures, and I love the fact that people are doing all this stuff. And I mean, you know, I joke about Neil's buttons on the front, but the fact that it's been used for so many things and people invest so much time in it, it's nice. I mean, I can't stress how much I get more pleasure of seeing what people do with the cases than actually building the cases. Although that's pretty obvious because I'm up there during the night until 2 a.m. building them. But yeah, so I love seeing the pictures. Yeah. Some people do some amazing stuff.
Well, as we come on now to talk about what we can do with this new mini case, I could have saved a lot of time if I just waited for this mini case instead of getting my hot glue gun out and drilling holes and all the rest of it, because we're about to see some amazing things, what we can do with this case. But before we do you want to hit the big red button? Are we going to make the Kickstarter live now?
I will do, but it's really important to I would not have done the Mr. project if it hadn't been for the videos, because I thought that's amazing. You need, and it was at that point I thought, you know what? I'm sure I can talk someone into helping me to make it a board. So we wouldn't have got what I've done in this machine if it hadn't been for that.
Oh, that's nice to hear. That's nice to hear. So
I honestly mean it.
So Stephen is now going to go and hopefully make his Kickstarter live. So if you're here because you're waiting to jump on board, as we just crossed the threshold of 500 viewers, I think that might be a record. I think that might be the most we've had on this channel. Stephen's going to go and make it live. Dave, would you mind posting the link in chat to the Kickstarter page? It's live. Okay, let's go and take a look. Here's the laptop. So you had 627 people following this project.
Yep.
It's live. 32 days to go. Who's going to be the first backer? £0 pledged of a £50,000 goal. And I think it's quite important that I state at this point, there's no kickback for me on this. I'm not being paid in any way to do this. I support Stephen because I absolutely love the work he's done, the projects he's created, the passion he has for the Amiga community, but it extends beyond Amiga as well. It's, you know, something much bigger now, moving into the Mr. community. As his camera goes black, we've just lost you there, Stephen. I don't know what's happened there. Maybe your camera's gone to sleep. We can still hear you, but we've lost your picture. So I'm always happy to support Stephen and others like Stephen who create projects like this. And you're almost up to your first £1,000, Stephen. There you go, straight past £1,000. We've got you back.
Okay, we got that problem we had earlier. Was it okay?
You're a little zoomed in. I think you've twisted the zoom there.
Oh, okay, yeah.
£2,000. I mean, while you're trying to fix your camera, the orders are rolling in. So, if you're not convinced about this, if you're not sure if you want this, if you're sitting on the fence, we're going to talk now about what we can do with this new case. And it's not just about the case, it's about these incredible projects that have sprung up around it. So which one do you want to start with, Stephen? And do you have anything to hold up and show us, or is it all installed inside the cases at the moment? I have got pictures if you...
Yeah. Okay, so the thing with this always was, one of the problems was we can't just, it's a mini ITX case, so really all you can really do is stick a PC mini ITX motherboard, now boring it's that. So I wanted to make it obviously Amiga. So the first thing we did was, which you've already seen done a video on, which was the, I've made this mounting kit for the Raspberry Pi with some boards on there, so you straight into it as a mini ITX system.
No, I think
plug it all in with the power.
I think I've got a picture of that, so we can see that in situ. Let me have a look through here.
That was the first one.
Or have I? No, I've got a picture of some of the other things we're going to look at. So in its most basic form, what we've got is a mini ITX case. You can put a mini ITX PC in there. What are we restricted with in terms of power supplies? It is an SFX power supply again?
SFX again, yeah. So you can put, I'm putting in 250 watt power supplies, which would probably do everything you're going to want to do. We're not having GPUs, so there's no GPUs going in this thing. So the power requirements are quite low. So you can probably get away with 250 watt, 350 watt to build a fairly good system. As I said to a lot of people, if you want to put a GPU in it, buy the Plus case. It's designed for it.
Right.
This one, my one that I've unfortunately it's been held up because of apparently COVID. I've got an AMD Ryzen coming with 3400G Radeon graphics on it, so I'm building that with water cooling. So probably in a week's time, I'll have that up on the Kickstarter page, so you can see my idea of a good PC. But it's not about PCs; it's about these things.
That's right. So yeah, we won't dwell on that. In its most basic form, is an mini ITX PC. You can make a nice little productivity PC. You're not going to be thrashing out the latest and greatest PC games on it without a lot of imaginative engineering to get a GPU in there. But it's a nice little case, and you can put a monitor on it, and it looks nice. But let's talk about
If it's a 1080p game, the APUs are perfectly fine. They get some good frame rates.
Yeah. But
someone's asking, a couple of people asking if you can turn the music down a bit.
Oh, I do apologise, yeah. Music down a bit, Stephen up a bit. Hopefully that's a bit better for you.
Okay. Right, so yes, so the next thing obviously was the Raspberry Pi, which was an obvious one because I love the Raspberry Pi, and I've created the AIME hybrid system for it, which you've already shown.
Yeah, so can you just hold that up again, because I like the way that the Pi is mounted, and it extends to other things as well. So this goes in the back of the case. It sits nice and flush, and what you've got there is a power board, so you can use your SFX PSU into the Pi.
So basically, out the other case, and it's just basically to handle the ATX connector and a power switch, and then it powers. We have this tiny little adapter board which switches all the ports to the rear. Okay, and so this powers that, which powers this, and the ones I sell will come with this big ice tower cooler. That's one of them, because the Pi, if you want, I don't think the PC is interested for this, but you can do it if you want. For me, the interesting thing is to build a Pi system with an emulation, and Dimitri's done some fantastic work with AIME Berry.
Just explain who Dimitri is, sorry.
There's a great product called AIME Berry, which a lot of people probably don't realise they're using, but when they run the Amiga emulator, either for games or whatever, on the Pi, the most important one, the most used, is AIME Berry. That's the one that's used the most, but I talked him into doing a load of changes to make it so that we had this Amiga. I've got to be careful, I'm not allowed to use the word Amiga hybrid, so I'm calling it AIME hybrid. Then the idea of that is so that you have Amiga and Linux in the background for running Chrome and stuff like that.
Yeah.
That's really fast. A lot faster than these things.
Yeah, so it brings all of the ports around the back, and also the Pi has a mini HDMI and an HDMI, but that turns it into full-size HDMI.
Full-size ones, which are much nicer.
So you can have a dual monitor setup.
Yeah. Importantly, to understand that the Amiga only appears on one of them at the moment. We're looking into that.
Sure. And just one last question on the Pi. You can still put your hats on the Pi, maybe not with that heatsink on there, but you can still get a Pi hat on there if you wanted to.
If you want to, yeah. I mean, I'm obviously using it to. There's some of the pins are being used for the LEDs at the front and that kind of thing, powering this. But you can if you want to put hats on. It's still the same.
Good.
Still the Pi, just And the other thing is, of course, you don't have to buy my case to buy this. We will be selling this as a kit, so you can put it in your own case if you want to.
Good. So that's the Pi, a little bit more exciting than a bog standard PC. Let's move on to something more exciting again. What's the next thing that you want to show us?
Okay, so I don't know how many people are going to recognise this. This is called the Unamiga. Now, I want to read out some names because I love this product. And so the hardware was designed by a guy in Spain called Edu Arana. He has a support team, and these are their nicknames, so I'm going to read these out. Okay? So there's Japauza, Benitos, Neuro, and Rampa69. And those four are the key ones, but there are more people involved. And what they've done is develop the core go on here to run the Amiga. And this thing is as close as you will get to an original Amiga because it's FPGA.
Yeah. Now the Unamiga it's been around for a little while, and the shape of it, if you hold it up, it's specifically designed to go in an A500, an old A500 case.
In fact, he modified it slightly to make sure it fit in the Checkmate case, but I'm not quite sure why it needed modifying, to be fair, but he did some little tweaks to move things around.
Yeah.
So that fits in there, but then I asked him to do me a mini ITX version.
Yeah, now this is really exciting. You've got that installed, so I'll have to bring a picture up on the screen, won't I, to show this.
Yeah.
Let's go over to the laptop.
Yeah. The thing about the FPGA is it's nowhere near as fast as the Pi, but it runs this. The Unamiga runs about twice the speed of an Amiga 3000 original, but you get AGA as well as OCS and ECS. So if you're a hardcore Amiga fan, you want FPGA because it's literally just like having the real hardware. It's just wonderful.
So it's on the screen here now.
Whereas the emulator,
yeah,
I can see it. Yeah.
It's on the screen here now. So what we can see is an ATX power supply again. So you can just plug a regular power supply into it. There's no ARM CPU on this, is it? It's just pure. There's your FPGA chip. And am I right in saying that the FPGA chip on this Unamiga has more logic units than the one on the old Unamiga?
The original one, which was this one, I don't know how many it is. I think it's 25,000 gates on this one. But there was they brought out a new. This company made a new version with twice the amount of gates, and so that's just come out very recently. So I think I got on bended knees and asked him to put it on the new version because it enables us to be able to do RTG. So if I hit N there, you will see I've got a nice retargetable display.
Nice.
It's on top of the Amiga's normal screen modes, and it will do widescreen as well, as I said before. And this monitor is actually very old, but it looks beautiful in 4.3, and you can do it in widescreen as well.
Yeah. So we've got a more powerful one, and it doesn't necessarily have to go in your case, but it's been inspired by your case. Yeah.
We are going to make sure that you can buy these and build your own if you want to put it in something else. Because at the end of the day, these are not as cheap as a Chinese case you can get for £20-30. We can't do that. So if you want to build one, you can have that, and by all means, build your own case.
Mm-hmm. Just talk us through. Yeah. Just talk us through the ports on the back of it, because we're not seeing any USB ports here.
No, right. So because there's no ARM controller on this, it doesn't have any support, the infrastructure that Linux would bring. Because if I jump to the Mister, that's got an ARM controller. It runs Linux as its base operating system. This is literally on the drive. It boots up and it looks for a core, loads the core, and runs it. And so it has to do everything on the core. So on here, what you can see is PS2 keyboard and mouse port, 2 Amiga Joy ports, so one for the mouse, one for the joystick, VGA port, and there's a stereo audio on it. So that's all the ports you really need. Now, PS2 is a bit of a sod to get hold of. So if you're thinking of buying that, I would get them. They're quite cheap if you find them. But you need, and you can't use a USB to PS2 adapter. It's not guaranteed. I tried that with a dozen keyboards and not found one that works.
Yeah.
To get a PS2 keyboard. But what it does mean is even though that there's little lag, there's no lag because it's almost hardwired to the processor. So you get no lag on the mouse or the keyboard, the joysticks. It's just wonderful. I like to think it's more hardcore. You're not got all this support infrastructure that gives you this, that, and the other. It's proper hardcore stuff, and that's why I really like it. I like it the most. Plus, it's the cheaper one.
Yeah,
which is always good.
And the board that I'm looking at in the middle with the FPGA chip on.
Yeah, FPGA. So a little tiny.
Yeah. So when you buy it, it comes with the board. This isn't like the Mister where you have to buy the D10 Nano separately.
No, it's supplied with the. It is supplied with the board. I have a feeling he sold it on, but I'm not 100% sure about that. But they do come with the board on.
Nice. Okay, Dave, have we got any questions about PC, ITX use, Raspberry Pi, or the Unamiga so far that you'd like to bring up?
Yeah, there's quite a few questions.
Fire away.
So let's start off with one from Niyamuru, who asks, will that Pi kit go for sale later, or is it already for sale? And I think what he's asking here is, what would you need to buy in addition to the Kickstarter case to get the AMI Hybrid up and running?
So there's going to be 3 kits. Obviously, there's the Pi, there's the Unamiga, and then there's the Mister version. But a lot of people in my Facebook group have been screaming at me when we start supplying them. I've had these for ages, and I've had the boards. It's been ready for quite some time. It's just I haven't had time to get them up for it. So I'm kind of rolling them out. Once I start shipping these cases, I'll ship everything out then. The only thing really you need, if you're going to put it in a mini ITX format, the frame obviously helps. We screw it in. But this turns the ports. This takes care of the ATX power supply or SFX power supply. So it's all part of a kit, and then you can put that in any case. Now, what I'll be doing is bundling it with fully licensed AMI Hybrid software, which is Amiga Forever, AmiKit, possibly 3.1.4 as well as a bundle. So that's the plan to do with this. Or if people just want, for example, the plate and these boards, I can do them separately. But that will come soon on the site once I've got everything else worked out. That answers it. It's evasive, I know. Oh yeah, there you go, yeah. Yeah, it's tricky. I've been sitting. I paid for these ages ago. I got them all in for China. I still haven't started to ship, or letting people order them, which is frustrating for a lot of people, unfortunately. But it's just I have a day job as well.
Ash is asking. He says, I can't specifically choose the PC case in Kickstarter. He's guessing that gets chosen at the next stage.
No, there's no such thing. It's one case. Everything is mini ITX, which is why we've had to have that adapter kit made. So any mini ITX PC will go in. But as long as it's mini ITX, it will fit. That's why all these have been adapted to become mini ITX compatible.
Ewook asked a question much earlier on, will this only be Kickstarted? Will you be able to buy them after the Kickstarter?
Yes. Oh, it's the same as before. Once everyone who backed the Kickstarter got their cases, the last time I did a pre-order batch for the next lot. So it's only been the last 4 or 5 weeks I've actually had any in stock, which I've got a few for Christmas, but we're running late now. But normally, once I have to ship all the Kickstarter cases out first before I open up the pre-orders. I don't like that. I mean, a lot of people have done Kickstarters, and I'm not criticising them, I promise. But a lot of them have done Kickstarters and then pre-orders. But because it's not my day job, I didn't want the stress. So I shipped all the Kickstarter backers cases out, and then I opened up the pre-orders for the next batch, and we did 200 cases within a few weeks, and we got them ordered, and then I've shipped that. So far, I've shipped 1,000 cases. Well, the original was 670.
Thomas Kirkens asks, will the case handle, I don't know if he's been serious, but 30 kilograms, but a CRT monitor, is it sturdy?
The question Stephen loves. He always gets this question.
I would stand on it again. It's the same construction as it. In fact, this will be stronger than the other one because I stood on the other one. I don't know if you've seen the pictures, but I actually took one outside in the hallway here and I stood on it. But I put my feet either side of it, so it was on the edge. But I put my entire weight on it. This one's going to be strong, even stronger because it's narrower. So yeah, you'd be able to drive your car over this one.
Yeah, and I've been using.
I drove my car on it for a laugh.
I've been using mine with a big Gateway CRT monitor on top of it. No problem. It's not even close. It's not flexing. It's not bending. It's solid.
I'll see this. I've got a 42-inch TV sitting up here on my other one.
Yeah.
I don't want to turn the camera around because it's going to be. Well, if people ask me to turn the camera around to see it, I'll turn the camera around. But there's a massive TV sitting on top of my face there.
Well, you've crossed a threshold, Stephen. You've crossed the £10,000 mark. You're a fifth of the way already.
I've not been looking at it, to be fair. Well, that's great. Thanks everyone for joining in this. It's gone up again. No, I'm going to end up looking at that. So take me off of that.
We will have a look at the Kickstarter page in a moment, and we'll look at the tiers that are available and things like that. Let's have a couple more questions, and then we're going to look at the next special board that you can put inside here. So what have you got next, Dave?
Alan Haynes asked, will VAT apply to myself or any other international buyer?
Oh, God, yeah. Okay. Right, this is a tricky one because I'm VAT registered, because of Brexit. What idiot thought Brexit was a good idea? I will answer all of that. Either have to charge it and then you reclaim it, or I can do it. I don't know. I've got to find that answer out. I've got the price sorted out. Ultimately, you'll be able to claim the money back, but it's the process involved at the moment. That, and Brexit's made life difficult, and I can't even get hold of the VAT office.
Yeah, without getting into politics, because the future arrangement hasn't yet been agreed. We're not entirely sure on what's going to happen. But if you're not obliged to pay VAT or tax, then you ain't going to pay it, or you're going to pay it and be able to claim it back. It's not going to be an issue.
I'm not sure which it's going to be at the moment. I think it may be claimed back. We'll see. Because I can't obviously do this in the Kickstarter. We put the price, which is what we sell it for, and then the VAT is just a complication. We didn't have this complication before. That's what I'm saying. The price, although it's the same, is actually cheaper. Especially if you're international and get your VAT back, it's a lot cheaper.
Andrew S. has asked a couple of questions about graphics cards. I'm not sure if you've actually answered this already. He says, PCIe graphics card, full height or half height? And the second question was, as most graphic cards seem to take 2 bays, and this can only take 1 card, will it work with this case?
No, this is a tiny case. There's no room. I mean, you can't stand it upright because it's a half-height case. There's no room. If you remember the original case, it was twisted over and laid flat that way. To do it in this case, you'd have to flip it this way, and there's no room. Literally no room. If you've got a half height, say for example you've got an well, it's not called support now. Say you've got A1222 that when it comes out, and you've got a half-height graphics card, yes, that will fit. You can buy a half-height graphics card. So if it's a half-height one that takes a single bay, then yes, you can put that in. It's not going to take a massive GPU. There isn't the space. There really isn't the space. So just buy the Plus case and you can put the biggest one you want.
Good. Okay, we will take more questions, but let's move on quickly now, because if the Unamiga and the Raspberry Pi setups don't excite you, you got to ask yourself why not, because they damn well should. The next thing is going to excite you for sure. Let's talk about the Mister. So you've got a Mister there. That's the thing that I hot glued and drilled and cut and dremeled and did everything else to put into my case, and I'm very happy with the result. But it's about to get a whole lot easier, because you don't need to use that Mister. You've had something else made, haven't you? And I'll have to bring a picture up on the screen to show people. And
so first of all, okay, I'm going to say this, right? First of all, this would not have happened if you hadn't built that Mister code. I've got to be honest, because when I saw that, I thought, oh my god, that's amazing. As soon as I thought I bought myself one, I kitted it out, and I love this thing. And I built the most amazing Amiga on it. It is absolutely wonderful. And of course, as you all know, Mister can do so much more. What we did was, originally my plan was, okay, I'll build it and then I'll cannibalize it, throw all the bits away and just use the Mister. But I absolutely fell in love with this. So I bought another Mister. Now, the reason I'm saying this is because we have a mini ITX mounting system for it. So we have a board that you sit the Mister on top, and it does basically what these other boards do. Part of it is a USB hub. Part of it is the I/O, so you can get yourself an RGB VGA output and etc. and the stereo. And part of it is to move the Ethernet to the rear and the HDMI to the rear. And it's just basically all in a mini ITX place. And then on top of that, you can see on the screen that's a prototype, so bear that in mind. Then there's an ATX plug. You plug the power supply in, the switch at the front, the LEDs. I mean, if I run something on here, if I get my hand out of the way quick enough, you will see LED go on. I don't know if you caught that, but the LEDs they're all on the board. The only thing interesting, before anyone mentions it, and I'm sure they will, is this version here has 4 USBs, and 3 of them are on the back on the external, and 1 of them is used for the joy port. And I basically said to Edo, I convinced him to do the 7. Everyone jumped on me, said they need the 7. I said, well, where am I going to put the game controller? Because I've got everything, well, they're all used up. So we're going to have 4 on the rear, 2 internally, and then obviously the joy port for the Atari joystick controllers.
Yeah.
I just really like this thing. It's a bit more expensive than the Amiga. It's going to be quite a bit more, but it's so good for what you can do with the ultimate retro machine.
Yeah. So what you can do is just drop that straight into your case, screw it into the already lined up holes for the standoffs. All of the ports line up at the back. You're just done. You're in. You're working. If 7 USB ports aren't enough for you, you can put a USB hub on. Maybe put a hub on just for your game controllers out the back if you need a 4-player game of Bomberman or something. And that's the DE10 in the middle. So, it still works in exactly the same way as the other Mister. Oh, hang on. Let me change the scene to you if you're just showing us something there. What are you doing? Are you just rebooting it there for us?
I turned it off, and I'm just literally turning it back on again so you can see it come up to prove it's the Mister.
Yeah.
And then, of course, if you want to, then I've only got one. Because I've used this all for the Amiga. But I've got the only other one. I've got a console. I've got the Neo Geo set up, and I'm on my way of getting other ones set up. But of course, it's a Mister.
Yeah. So you can run all of those cores, which are just constantly under development. All of those cores, all the systems that you want to run on there. I can see the lights flashing away. It took me a bit of head scratching to get the disk activity light working on mine and the power light, and that's just. I take you just plug the LEDs straight into this new board and they work. Nice and simple.
And you get these nice RTG screens. You get 1280 by 720 resolution in 32-bit color, which is lovely. And I've actually got Apollo OS. And I can't ship it with Apollo. Not Apollo OS, sorry, Coffin OS.
Oh, yeah.
As you will well know, I can't ship this. But it runs beautifully. Not as good as obviously on a Vampire, but it does run really nicely. And I can run a Mac emulator. It's just amazing. While you're talking, I will just quickly run up the Mac emulator.
Oh, okay. We're going to see the Mac appear on your screen.
It's surprisingly good. I mean, you're running this runs 3 times the speed of or 2.8 if you want to be technical. 2.8 times the speed of a 3000, but with a graphics card. Just amazing.
Now, these are some great things. I'm loving this Mist ITX, but I'm loving the Amiga as well. I'm a bit split between which one I'd want to put in my new Checkmate. Have you got a favourite out of the two? Because you've got them running side by side there.
Amiga.
The Amiga. Why is that your favourite?
It is slower. The networking's a bit of an issue. It has got serial networking. but it's not as fast as the Mister. It's not as flexible as the Mister, but it's proper hardcore. I love it. Absolutely love it. I mean, it's I can't. I mean, it literally. I mean, I've got a 3000 sitting over there, so everyone knows I love the 3000 because it's meant to look like it. This is twice the performance of a 3000, but with AGA. So it's like the prototype they made. It just feels right. I mean, I'll start singing in a minute.
Yeah, well, you're a man with a lot of Amiga experience, so if it feels right to you, then it definitely is going to feel right. Yeah. Sounds great, and it's cheaper. It's the cheaper option. So if it's all about the Amiga for you, then that sounds like a nice balance.
The Pi is going to be cheaper than the sure. Amiga, and I put a chart up to do the speed test, and it was quite funny. This one, the Amiga does about 11 MIPS. Okay, now this is sysinfo, so take it with a pinch of salt, but it tends to be about right. So you get 11 MIPS with this one, which is million instructions per second. Mm-hmm. With the Mystics and the D10 Nano or Mister, you get 14 million instructions per second. But on the Pi, you get 200.
Wow. Yeah.
It's cheaper. So, but the key thing is, if you want it to, I mean, FPGA is literally just like the real hardware. If that's important to you, it is literally just like the real hardware, smooth, timings are perfect, then these are the ones you want. If you just want a fast Amiga, buy a Pi one. Yeah. Save you a lot of money.
And before we come on to some more questions,
yep.
If, for example, I wanted to put, say, a standalone Vampire 4 in there, and we see Electron Ash is talking in the chat about, I think he's made his own Mister ITX DTX board that he's working on at the moment. So if we've got these other things that we might want to put in the case, am I going to have to get my glue gun out again, or are there options coming that might support these things? How might this work?
Sorry, hang on a second. Another question there. Sorry, may have to repeat that. The Mister would just go straight onto the board, and then it's all done for you. There's nothing to do. You've got all the hard drive LED plug on. You've got the power LED. You've got the power switch. Everything you need, just connect. Even if it's not one of these cases, normal PC cheap case will do the same thing.
Yeah, but if, for example, I want to put a standalone Vampire 4 in there, will there be files available, or will there be assistance to make that happen?
Yeah, so I missed the Vampire bit. Okay, so the Vampire part. What I'm going to do is, I do hope that they would one day do a mini ITX version. I know a lot of people have been asking for it. But there are a lot of people bought the standalone. So I will, if the Kickstarter's a success, I will this time to actually do the proper kit, the mounting kit for it. And that'll be part of it. I'll go out, I'll buy the Vampire, and the standalone, that is, obviously. And we'll make a proper fitting kit for it. There'll be probably a lot of cables because it has ports both sides, and we have to do an adapter for it. I don't know how much it's going to cost because we've got to obviously power it from SFX power supply, so we'll need that in there. And it won't necessarily be a cheap option, but we will do it definitely. Yeah. I hope they'll do a mini ITX version.
Yeah. Well, I have one on the way, so if I can be of assistance, I can come and visit with my Vampire 4. And you can get the tape measure out if that helps you.
Near each other.
Now, any questions then that Dave's got with regards to things that you might want to put in this case, questions about setting this case up? What have you got for us, Dave?
Not so many questions left now, but Duncan Styles asks, he's asked this twice actually, are there any changes to the recent 1.5 version on Amiga and this ITX version?
Yes, well, apart from the fact that the FPGA is twice the size, so it's got twice as many gates. I think it went from 25,000 to 50,000 gates. I may be wrong, but I'm pretty sure that's. I don't know whether they're called gates. Oh God, has my camera gone again?
Yeah, your camera's gone.
It has again, yeah.
I'll answer. Yeah, so it has increased. Obviously, I'm just going to swap batteries. Bear with me. 2 seconds.
Well, while you're doing that, we'll give you a little update. You've got 56 backers, £12,395. You're on your way.
Hey, let's see if that's going to come back on again.
It's come back on.
What was the question again? Remind me the question, the last one again. So I got this.
The question was from Duncan Styles, and it was: are there any changes to the recent 1.5 on Amiga and this ITX?
So the main thing is obviously the board that's on it has got twice as many gates. So it's twice the amount of room on the FPGA to put things on. So the original one, they managed to get an AGA Amiga running on there with an 020 running really well. What this has given them the room to do is add the RTG core, which is on the Mister, which was done recently. So that's the key thing with that. It gives them more space, and there's room to grow later on. The speed also shot through the roof as well. The original one was about 0.8 speed of a 3000. This one's 2.2 times the speed of a 3000, so it's got like a 3 times speed boost, and it's not quite as fast as the Mister, but it's not far off of it.
Ironface asks, will there be a back plate for the Mystics?
So, the answer is yes. So I was supposed to go this morning to actually start working on it, but because of the stream, I thought I didn't want to pull it apart. Yes, the answer is yes. There will be, just like I've done with this, just like we did with the Pi. There'll be one for the Mystics, and the Amiga. There's also a white one around somewhere. It comes in both colours because you might as well have it the right colour.
When will these RPI, Amiga and Mystics boards be available?
So once I start shipping the main cases, there'll be options to go with the cases. I'm kind of working it towards that. So for people who order the cases, they'll obviously get them first. Because a lot of people have asked me to build a complete system. Some people just want the components to build them themselves. But it's all about trying to get them all out then. So once I've got them out, then we'll probably open it up, and we may even allow especially the Mystics one. Probably going to look for another supplier to if they want to sell them direct. That will come later on, because obviously we'll be ordering quite a lot based on the orders we get.
Second last question, Ewook asks, will any of all this awesome things be in a write-up? I know RMC has done nice videos of options in relation to the first case.
What do you mean? I'm not sure what he means by a write-up.
Does he mean a review?
I'm presuming something like that kind of overview kind of type review. I
don't know. I mean, probably hopefully the magazines will get them, because once we ship cases, I mean, I have sent them. There's only really 1 or 2 magazines out there, so they've never requested one. They did a couple of little bits about it. It tends to be all YouTube now. There's lots of YouTube videos about the previous case. Not so many about the new case. Oh, well, it's not out yet, obviously. So I can think of half a dozen videos that were done reviews, but they tend to be YouTube videos, people building them, unboxing and construction, and there's quite a few of them out there. But written ones, I actually don't know of any written ones. No one's actually let me know. There may well be.
Maybe you can get an article into Amiga Addict, the new magazine.
Oh, yes.
A great big advert in the middle of it. I took up the centre page. Unfortunately, I think I knocked Bill off the centre pages. Because I like it, so I think to take it out. There's a big advert for the case in the centre pages in there. So, and they're doing a small article, but I'm sure we can sort something out.
Can I ask a question?
Yeah.
Go on then.
The big question about the thing that confused so many people, you know what I'm going to ask, on the original case was the opening of the case. The special technique, the clunk and the bend to get the lid off. I've grown very fond of that technique, and I hope that the new case has the same.
When I first designed it, I mean, I have had it. I remember Clint's one it's a bit janky, which kind of but the problem with it was, because we had all those replacement rear panels, it made me have to design it in a certain way so we could hold them in place. And so that's why it's a catch and it comes down. The new version will not have that, and I know you've said this for a reason because I told you on. But when you get these, you'll slide it off beautifully because there's no need for it. But the funny thing is, as I told Neil earlier, when these are, I told Brian, who's in design, whatever you do, make sure when you slide the lid off, it doesn't go clunk. So what's the first thing that happened when I got it back? Clunk. And it's literally about 2 millimeters. He's got the back tab 2 millimeters too low. So it needs to just go up a couple of millimeters so it slides off clean. But thanks for mentioning it.
You're welcome. So in the final version, it'll just come off cleanly. No clunk.
We'll have a clunk, but you're going to have to pry them out of my hands.
Carry on, Dave.
The backplate for the A1 Treble 2, the A1 222, when will it be ready? Will it be included, or will you have to pay extra for it?
Then I'll ask Aeon. When you buy a PC motherboard, okay, you go and you buy a PC motherboard. It comes with the plate for the back. I can't make that. It comes with one of those little thin plates, and you just clip it into place. So when I buy my PC motherboards, I just literally clip that in place. And then I slide the motherboard in, and it suits that motherboard. They need to supply that with their motherboard. So if they don't do it, I could probably get one made. But the trouble with that is that we don't tend to do metal that's that thin. So it tends to be about 1 millimeter, which would be too much because it won't fit. So it's really up to them to do their own rear panel. That's what comes. That's why I supply them with mine.
Christian Neumann asks, is it still too late to order a Checkmate? So can people order the original?
Oh, yeah. Well, the funny thing was, when I announced the Mini, the sales of the Plus went like that. And which is fine because I kind of expected it. But once people understand that, for example, if you want to put a big, beefy GPU in it, you need the Plus. You can't put it in this one, it's too small. You need the Plus. And as I put in the kickstand, I've actually written this in the kickstand, the exterior design that makes it look like a 3000 makes it almost impossible to get, I'm going to say almost impossible to get a GPU in there. But there's no plans at the moment. But it would be it would be a nightmare to fit one in there. And you never get the heat out of it. So the Plus was designed for it. You flip it to the right side, the panels are there, it works perfectly. And as long as you've got a blower type, which blows the air out the back of the case, and it works perfectly just by the Plus case. And yes, there's I've got about 30 in stock, and then I can make 200 more. And after the 200, there'll be no more. That'll be it. Does that answer?
Yeah. Any more there, Dave, before we move on?
Is Neil going to build a brand new system for Scratch in the new case?
Yes. I will share that experience. I haven't decided what I'll put in there. It's probably going to be a vampire, unless I get one of these Mystics or I'm really tempted to try this Amiga ITX just because of the way Stephen talks about it. He loves it so much. But I do have this Vampire 4 standalone coming, and I do want to, like all of these devices, it deserves a really nice case, and this is a really nice case. So I think I'm going to have to get 2 cases, and I'll put the Vampire in one. I think black Vampire, it's got to go in a black case, hasn't it?
Yeah, I think you're right there.
And then just to annoy Stephen, I'm then going to put like an A-Team van style red stripe down the side of it. Maybe drill some holes in the front.
The Vampire's good. The Vampire, you get the FPGA, but you get this stupid performance. I mean, ridiculous amount of performance. So the Vampire, I've got a Vampire in my little box in here. I think it's a wonderful, absolutely wonderful device. So, and it will, eat these things alive.
Yeah.
But they are more expensive, and the fitting kit's not going to be cheap because of the way it's got ports either end. We've got to mount it, then we've got to put power to it, and then we've got to put cables, and it's going to be probably more like putting in a pie.
Yeah.
So I've got a separate board here, and then I don't know. It's going to be a bit of work involved and a little bit of cost, but I think at the end of the day, you'll end up with something quite special.
Yeah, one way or another, it will appear on the channel. I will build something. And also, if you're wondering why I'm not in my usual set and I've got a whole mess behind me, it's because I'm all packed up to move to the new cave, which I'll have access to as of tomorrow. I can start moving things into. And the goal of that new cave is that it's so big I'll have an exhibition space where you guys can come to private gatherings and see all of these machines set up. And Pride of Place will be the checkmate cases, the Mister, the Vampire, the Vampire A500++, which I put in the beige checkmate case. They'll all be set up so you can, if you're able to make it to the cave at one of these events, you can sit down and you can see these cases. We might even be able to get Stephen along with a few cases to show you them in person and to have a beer with. So yeah, I definitely...
to get back to normal.
Sorry, what was that, Stephen?
It would just be nice to get back to normal life.
It will be nice to get, yeah. We're on the way there. We're nearly there. I wanted to have a little look at the Kickstarter page itself. So let's switch over to the laptop. Here we are. It's going up and up. We're nearly up to £15,000. Great start, by the way, everyone who's watching. Thank you so much. Now, just looking through, I wanted to see the tiers because my pet hate is Kickstarters with just massive amounts of confusing tiers. And I think you've kept it quite simple, haven't you?
I mean, it's literally a basic case and a deluxe case, the black and white choices. The only thing I've added is a lot of people order two. So there's you can have two basic, two deluxe, or one of each, that kind of thing. I haven't put a 5 in there, but you know, if someone comes back and says they want 5, because I've had people buy 5, 10, you know, so we'll see. But yeah, just trying to keep it, because I do get a lot of people say they want 2, so they can't make their mind up on the colour.
Yeah. So there's basic case.
You can order a basic case and a deluxe, so you get the fancy packaging with one with the manual, and with the other one you just have the brown paper package. It'll save you some money.
Yeah. So basic case, deluxe case, black or beige, and those are your choices. Just reading the deluxe tier here. So the deluxe version includes the same as standard, but adds the 3.5-inch standard drive and DVD panel inserts, the DVD tray for the LG GS40N slot loading drive, the PSU support bracket, color packaging with external protective brown box, and a printed deluxe manual. Postage
and the manual as well.
Yeah, postage and any optional extras payable before shipment of order. Price will increase after the Kickstarter to $229, so it's in your interest to get it at the best price. It's in your interest to back it anyway, because if it doesn't get backed enough, it won't exist in the first place for you to buy it later. So
yeah, the thing was that this time with the last lot, I used to do postage and packaging, so there was £9 postage, which kind of was about half of the cost of the packaging. But this time it's all in that price, so the packaging is expensive, but it's all about the opening experience and something to keep, which hopefully people do seem to like to keep. And as I said, we've gone overboard in this, and also it's also been designed. You'll notice it's got the one thing we haven't mentioned is the keyboards and the keyboard.
Yeah, I was just going to scroll down here as we go down through the Kickstarter page.
Mentioned that.
There's some really lovely pictures of the cases there and all the various setups that we've talked about today. As you get down to the bottom, you start to see this nice mechanical keyboard, an oyster white with custom keycaps. There's also a black one. Let's go all the way down.
It's probably better you show it on there, actually.
Oh, there's my video. Look at that.
A couple of videos, because you explain that, for example, we did that last one, the previous one about the mini. Seekers, the FPGA. And I totally, in fact, if you read the comment, I actually put in there about that I was inspired by it because I thought that was such a cool system.
By the way, anyone who's watching, if you want to see these boards in action, Stephen has his own YouTube channel and videos on there where he's demonstrating them. So what's the name of your channel, Stephen?
Oh, don't do that again. Cluster UK Developments.
Cluster UK Developments.
Stupid name.
So search for that on YouTube. There's that comparison table you were talking about with the Unamiga, Mystics, and the Raspberry Pi 4. What it offers you side by side.
Yeah, it gives you really the benefit. Most people have said, "I'll just buy the Pi then." But it's important to understand. If you understand the difference between having an FPGA and the Pi, then you'll want the FPGA because it literally is like the original hardware. Whereas the FPGA is going to the Pi is just so much power. You saw me render that 1080p 3D rendering in Lightwave, didn't you? Remember?
Yeah. And then if we keep going down, we will eventually get to... Oh, there's the nice packaging, which we saw earlier. And we saw poking out those keycaps. And let's keep going. Here we go. So in the previous case, you had this folded steel keyboard that you could drop the original Amiga...
Aluminium. It was always aluminium.
Sorry. Folded aluminium. And you could drop the original Amiga 500 keyboard into it. It worked. It did the trick. It wasn't, the sleekest looking design, but it couldn't be. It had to accommodate what we were putting in there.
That's absolutely true. The original case, I've actually got a steel prototype in the loft. My God, it's heavy. The idea of this was to create the problem at the moment, for people to have mechanical keyboards on Amiga, it costs a fortune. And it occurred to me, if you scroll down a little bit further to where there's a picture with the cherry switches, see that's a keyboard we've chosen. It kind of splits the community down the middle of the keyboard. It's a big thing. But the keycaps, the idea of the keycaps was that you can get your design so it looks like an Amiga keyboard set. But this mechanical keyboard we've got here has got clone red cherry switches, and they're absolutely wonderful. So we can do these at a really, really fair price. So if you put them with the keycaps, I've got a price on there. I think the whole thing for about £90. Which, if you buy the keycaps from someone like WASD, they're about $70. Get a custom set and then shipping. It's quite expensive. I bought about a dozen keyboards experimenting. So it won't suit everybody. The problem one we've got at the moment is it's an ANSI layout. I do go into details on this on the video. It's just one of those things. It's a juggling thing, but it feels beautiful and they look great. It's the only difference is it's got an ANSI layout rather than an ISO layout. And if you don't know what that means, it won't bother you.
And most importantly, you've got the lovely colours and you've got the Amiga keys, left and right Amiga keys on there.
A young lady called Renee Cousins to thank for this, and so he designed this, and we've been using this. We had an agreement some time ago an agreement that I could make these, and so they will be an option. We're looking at £29 for the set. If you scroll down a bit further, there's a dark grey set. It's not black; it's dark grey. When they turned up, they're not black; they're dark grey, but they do look quite nice. But we have to work with what the suppliers have actually got, rather than tooling up. If we tool up, then £200 a keyboard. Whereas if we do it this way, we just make the best we can with what's available, and then people can either buy it. I think these are actually lovely. Actually, I don't know if you can see this, but
let me just change the view to you, and we can see what you're on there.
These actually are really nice. Let me see if I've got them there. Yeah, so they're lovely keyboards. I've been experimenting. This one's got brown switches and this one's got red. And I'm going to standardise on red, which I know some people dislike. So there's always a problem with keyboards. Oh, I want blue, I want brown, I want red. So I've had to standardise and some want ISO. It's a headache, but it's an option, and you can always go and make your own.
And there's also this dial on the top corner of the keyboard there, on the one you've chosen.
Yeah, and it does work because these do not work on the Amiga because only PS2, so these do not work. However, on the Mystics with the Mister, this does work. The dial actually does work, and it does the volume, and it mutes it, and you've got playback. And on the AMI Hybrid, it works. It controls the volume. So actually, on those two, it works really nicely. So a lot of people say, "Oh, no, that's just Windows." It's nice. And Amiga's about audio. It's about music. Why not have a dial on it? I just thought they were really nice.
Yeah.
But not everyone will like them.
So that finishes your build off nicely. You've got a nice keyboard where you know exactly where the Amiga keys are if you want them. How do you get that keyboard? Is that part of the deluxe package, or do you have to pay extra for that?
again, we've fallen into the options thing again. So it's one of the options. You'll be able to buy just a key set. If you remember from the packaging, the keycaps were in a tray. They're part of the tray where you have the two. There's space for two manuals. The standard one with a deluxe pack is obviously this manual. Okay, but we also have a lot of people. We want to ship these systems with Amos. So we've got this Master and Amiga Amos, which if you open up our branded one, underneath you see the original package by Phil South. So there's an option for that. If you get a complete system with the computer and everything, you get that thrown in, which I think is quite nice. And also with Amos and what have you.
Nice, really nice touch. I mean, there was no need whatsoever for you to do that, but you felt that was a nice thing to add, and you've gone to all that extra effort to do that. And if anyone who's ever wanted to program an Amiga and thought they wanted to dip their toe in, it is a really nice way to do it. It's a toss-up for me: Amos or Blitz Basic. Between those two, great stuff.
I know, and it will split people. But so many people said to me that what they really liked about the Commodore 64 was it booted straight into BASIC, and all these old machines. And I've got them set up so that when you boot it, you've got a toggle switch, and it'll boot straight into Amos. When you quit it, it'll go to Workbench.
Yeah.
It depends how you want to set that up accordingly, but you can go straight into it when you finish power off, and it will go in very quickly. So that was the plan. So and I've got permission from Francois Linia. Oh God's sake, he'll take it. Wait, now I can't pronounce the name. Francois Linia. I know it's I don't know the exact term, but it's in the public domain, so people are allowed to use it for free. I wanted to ask permission, make sure get his blessing, and he was more than happy to do that. So hence why we got the manual, and then Phil South, we came to deal with Phil about that. The publisher, Bruce Smith Books in Australia, they gave me permission to reproduce it. So I thought it was just quite a nice thing to have that book in there, so you can just boot straight into Amos, just start playing.
Yeah, nice. Well, I think that's a pretty comprehensive tour of what this is, what it's capable of. Some incredible projects that have sprung up around it and have been, encouraged by you and nurtured by you to help people to get their hands on the plans and the CAD files, and to say, yeah, please make that board for me. That we want this to exist. We want the MIST ITX to exist. We want the the UnAmiga ITX to exist. And it's testament to the history you have of just working so well within the community and with people. And you're talking about, not trying to get exclusivity rights to these things. You're talking about getting them into other people's hands to sell, because you know that they complement your case and the community wants that, which is just really nice to see, Stephen. I really love the way that you operate. So well done to you, sir.
I always like to think of it as a cottage industry.
Yeah.
That's all we want. Cottage industry. I love the phrase. And we're just lots of small producers, and if we all work together, we can just do some great things. It's great.
Wonderful. Let's open up the floor then to a final Q&A. Any questions go whatsoever. Dave, over to you.
We actually don't have any questions outstanding at the moment.
A chance for chat to get your last questions in. We're up to 79 backers, £16,000. So I hope this stream has gone, some small way in helping you to get started.
Oh, no, I do appreciate it. We always, just to reiterate, there's Neil's been very, very supportive. I know he has to be very careful that people don't see it as it's anything more than that, but he's just been wonderful. And these little projects are really hard to get off the ground anyway, and you do need this support. And it's always been there from Neil, so I really do appreciate it.
Oh, you're most welcome. And anyone who's watching, if you've backed this, if you want this to happen, if you're thinking, I can't afford it right now, but I really want this thing to happen so that I can maybe buy it further down the line, just spread the word, get the tweets out there, let everyone know that it exists, and hopefully we can hit that target. I'm pretty confident that you'll do it, but you can never be too sure with these Kickstarters. You got to be cautious.
Yeah, probably end up doing a little dance at the end. I think a lot of people see me dance because I did say I'd do a little dance. We'll see what happens.
Let's see who we've got in the chat. I'm seeing Amigos Retro Gaming. Good to see you here. Boat or Aaron, whichever one of you it is. One thing.
It's Aaron today.
Sorry, Dave. Go ahead.
I said it's actually Aaron we have with us today.
Oh,
there's been a few questions I haven't asked you, Stephen, about pricing on things like the Mystics and so on, because I know you don't. It's not up to you.
Well, it probably kind of is to a degree, but I haven't had the pricing because it's still a prototype, and because the other Amiga's pretty much finished. In fact, I think it is finished, to be fair, but the Mystics is going to have to go through some changes from the prototype. So I haven't had the prices from Edu yet, so I can't quote the prices. So that's a tricky one at the moment. But again, we might be shipping them for a while anyway, because the whole point is that we'll be shipping these out with the cases. So once we get through, you'll start. I'll obviously tell people in a month or two what the prices are, and then if they want to add them, they can. Ultimately, I would like the Mystics to be available from other sellers. I'm not sure about the Amiga because it's not really. We can sell them direct anyway, but there is a community around the Mister, and I think this would be a nice little board for them to be able to buy. So whether we just say they buy direct from Edu, I don't know how we're going to work that yet, but we'll sort that out as we go further down the road. But I can't release prices yet now, sorry.
There was a question earlier on that we didn't ask, and it was from Robert Neal, and it was, can we back a complete made system?
You back? Oh no, because the one answer, which is not the real answer, but one answer is I don't know what the prices are yet, so it's very difficult. But the other answer is because of the amount of money that Kickstarter take. I mean, they don't take a fortune. Don't get me wrong, they don't take a fortune, but it's around 8%. So obviously then the price has got to go up. But if I do it afterwards, then my credit card charge is a lot less. So I don't have to charge as much as if I've done it through the Kickstarter. But the other reason, of course, is we've not finalised prices. We've not finished the fitting kits. So and if the cases don't appear, then it's not going to happen. And also the complete systems will skew things as far as the Kickstarter. I can go on with great depth about that, but which you won't be interested in.
I think if you start to get into the realms of supplying complete systems, you have problems like soak testing your builds, technical support after the build, returns on failures. So, there's a lot less to go wrong with a case than a fully loaded out system for a one-man operation like you are. Yeah.
It's tricky. I mean, and I'm hoping most people will build themselves. We'll see.
One more question was asking about a Raspberry Pi mount for the Plus.
Yes, well, the same. This will fit in the Plus because it's a mini ITX micro ATX case. Just pop that straight in. It's probably the Plus is probably a bit of overkill. Unless you're thinking of putting into it, the Plus has got room for boards on the side of it, and you're not going to put boards on this. The only thing you might put in there is drives, DVD, or that kind of thing. That's one of the reasons for doing the Mini, because this kind of system with maybe a SATA drive in there and a DVD or a CD-ROM drive in there with your power supply, which is obviously overkill for a Pi, but if you've got DVD and a SATA drive in there, it makes more sense. I don't think, yes, it will go in, no problem. That'll fit in the Plus, no problem whatsoever.
Nice. So yeah, if you're an existing Plus owner, you can just drop that in. No need for the hot glue gun. Dinty's Hideaway has donated a $10 tip for some bubble wrap to help me move. So thank you. And you can have on the screen there a table jump. There you go. You can have two. There we go. Any more questions, Dave?
No, I think we've run out of questions.
No, I think that comes to a nice conclusion. I'm happy that we've covered everything in nearly an hour and a half. It's a good time, I think. So anything you'd like to close off with, Stephen, to the viewers?
I just said, well, thanks to everyone who's already backed. Well, thank you, obviously. Because, is my camera got it here?
Timing. We'll check the Kickstarter page while you give it a kick.
Okay, just talk amongst yourselves.
So you're sitting at 80 backers, £16,233. You've gone down now to 31 days to go.
Hopefully that's right. Yeah. The problem with this is I actually bought a power one to plug in, but it never works, so I have to run this on batteries. But thanks to you for putting this stream together. I mean, I really enjoy your videos. I am disappointed that you took the Alan Sugar thing out of the one video. When I saw the final version, you took Alan Sugar out. But no, I really appreciate the support.
Good. Fabian, thank you very much for that tip. You can have a table jump as well.
Thanks to Dave as well for taking the questions.
Yes, yeah. Big thank you to Dave. Dave's putting the link in there. The link is also, if you're watching this on Watch Again, the link is also in the description of the video, so go and click on that. Best of luck to you, Stephen. I'll be watching it very closely. The only problem with doing this stream is I can't back it until the stream is over, because I don't want to show my credit card details on the screen. So I'm going to be further down the backers numbers now. I'm going to have to wait for mine to be delivered. But it'll be worth it. So I'll go and back that as soon as this stream is over. And thank you very much to everyone in chat. Have a lovely evening, day, afternoon. And take care. Bye-bye, everyone.
Bye-bye.
Say bye-bye, Dave.
Goodbye, Dave.